If you ever want to learn something, then learn from failure and not from success. There are famous personalities who once failed miserably in their life and then they succeeded like anything and created history. Today I'm going to tell you 4 such stories that will inspire you to try one more time. Number 1. Bill Gates. Before launching Microsoft, Bill Gates was a Harvard University dropout and co-owner of a failed business called Trafodata, a data analysis company. Trafodata was a good idea with a flawed business model, but the hardships it faced due to low capital commitments forced him to close down the company with a net loss of $3,500 after 6 years of operation into the business. Imagine devoting 6 years of your life, your time and your energy to a flawed idea that only end up losing money and dying a slow death. That would be enough to make us think 100 times before going out on a limb again. However, the failure didn't hold Bill Gates from exploring new opportunities, and a few years later, Gates' passion for computer programming eventually built what would become the world's largest software company. The company went public in 1986, and by the next year, its rising share price made 31-year-old Gates the world's youngest self-made billionaire, all in 1 year, which is just crazy to think about. Bill Gates' story teaches us life is not fair. No matter how hard you work in life, there will always be times where things don't go your way, perhaps though no fault of your own. Things that you cannot control. You will get knocked down, but you need to be able to stand up every time you fall. Number 2. Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs need no introduction, as almost every one of us well aware of this guy and his creativity. Just like most other eminent personalities, the journey of Steve Jobs was also full of ups and downs. Right from the start, immediately after his birth, his biological parents gave him for adoption. Soon, a working class couple adopted the baby. He went to the college and later dropped out. When he was 20, he started a company with his friends and named it Apple. In the first 10 years, the company grew at a rapid pace. As the growth continued, he employed some more intelligent members in the team. Suddenly, there crept in some differences of opinion in the team, and Steve Jobs was fired from his own company, Apple. When he was 30, he met investors who had faith in him and started a company next. After 2 years, he started another company, Pixar. He worked very hard day and night, and the company grew so rapidly that his earlier owned ex-firm, Apple, bought it, and Steve Jobs was again appointed as CEO of Apple. During one of his interviews, when he was asked about how he faced ups and downs in his life, he replied, "Sometimes in our life, we are attacked by big problems, but we should not lose faith. Only one thing saved me during that time, the love I had in my work. None of the jobs brings us success that we do without love. If we think and has a limited aim only to own a house and stay back, we permanently lay back in life and do not grow. We should always work with new visions, have new thirst in the things we love to do." Number 3. Jack Ma, founder of Alibaba, is one of the wealthiest person in the world. Jack Ma's life is perhaps the greatest example of success through failure. Jack Ma grew up in a poor family. As a young child, he visited the hotels where US tourists stayed to learn English. In exchange, he gave them tours around the city. He failed primary school twice and middle school 3 times. He also failed his university entrance exam 3 times. He applied for Harvard 10 times and was rejected each and every time. After graduating, he applied for 30 different jobs but was rejected for all of them. Out of the 24 people who applied for KFC, 23 were selected. Jack Ma was the only one to be rejected. He also applied for police force but was rejected and told he was no good. Despite all these failures and rejections, Jack Ma persisted throughout. Without any technical knowledge of computers or coding, Jack Ma, relying on his English skills, started a translation service business where he was introduced to the internet. While discovering the lack of Chinese beer, In online search results, he created an online venture called China Base. Unfortunately, a government company gained control over his venture, and Jack Ma decided to leave the company as it stifled his vision for the business. He then took up a government job at the Ministry for Foreign Trade and Economic Cooperation. In 1999, he left the government job. After that, Jack Ma gathered his close friends and started Alibaba. He faced a familiar obstacle as his idea was rejected and criticized as being unprofitable and unsustainable. Due to bankruptcy and internal issues, team members ended up walking out on him. But Jack Ma was able to pick up the pieces and unify his remaining team to take Alibaba forward, challenging the established online businesses like eBay, who already had existing operations in China. Jack Ma and Alibaba managed to drive eBay out of business in China. In the year 2014, Alibaba made history through the world's largest IPO to date. Today, Alibaba is one of the world's largest conglomerates. His story teaches us to never give up in life, and through persistence and hard work, anything is possible. Number 4. Jk Rowling. You must have heard the Harry Potter series. However, many of you have not heard of Jk Rowling. She is the woman behind the most successful and best-selling series in the history. Not many knows what exactly she went through before she reached her stardom. Jk Rowling's story is one of the most famous inspirational failures to the success story of our time. In 1990, she formed the idea of developing the story of Harry Potter on his journey. Unfortunately, her mother died later that year, which halted her writing process for some time. In 1992, she got married and had a daughter. But a year later, she parted ways with her husband and filed for divorce in 1993. It was the most devastating period of her life, and she saw herself as a complete failure. She was divorced, jobless, and a mother of an infant. Her life was dark and gloomy. She suffered severe bouts of depression and contemplated suicide, but she persevered. 1995 was the year that defined Rowling's life in so many ways. Not one or two, around 12 major publications rejected the Harry Potter script. But she didn't give up. She kept approaching other publications. Finally, a small publication house accepted to publish the book, and only 1,000 copies were published. Soon after, things changed when the book won prestigious awards such as Nestle Smarties Book Prize and the British Book Awards for Children's Book of the Year. Not to mention, the book was adapted to a movie series, making it a franchise of $1 billion business. The biggest lesson one can learn from Jk Rowling is to keep trying, believing, and acting on your dream. Thank you for watching. Comment below and let me know which story inspired you the most.